I'm sitting here, I'm watching the second version, which is this gentleman, which I know some people like better. He's with Epoch Times, I think at times that's where he runs out of. At least he looks like the guy. I don't know, he looks Epoch Times, like, important. Maybe he's not the guy. I don't know. It's tough to tell. They're just good looking, like, symmetry. And they look genetically secure. All right, so this is the station. They're talking about the Bruce Willis aphasia. They actually put up the spelling of aphasia in this particular, and because I couldn't decide whether it was grammatically correct with an E or an A, if I had to Phoenician it myself. And then all of a sudden they put it up and I'm like, it's A, and then it's a PH, and then it's the word Asia. So if one Air Force was trying to take out the other's fighting pilots and were trying to come up with a way to document spastic, because I mean, like, let's just be honest, worst thing you could possibly do to a fighter pilot is wound them so they can't, so their cognitive ability is challenged in some way, so they no longer get airtime. It works for combat enemy, like, to take out the pilots. I mean, it's disgusting show of sportsmanship, but I find humans to be some of the most disgusting sorts ever. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, well, that would be understandable, but, like, how do they accomplish it? Yeah, well, again, as, like, I don't know, if you're outside caught in a land army that is in a changing whatever, and you gotta make your own personal medic, whatever, even wounded, I waited for the timing to change, the mechanics to change enough that then I can start to see outside correspondence and how it's affected my personal journey. And certainly pressurized motions on the lumen of blood supply through several different areas of the body puts pressure on the body mechanic systems to cause temporary aphasia. I mean, it could be temporary, it could be permanent. Again, it all depends on the personal situation, and it also depends on the acclimate. I also documented tonight, Kansas shows storm strikes that go from ground to the cloud, the stratosphere layer, where I'm being held in this fallout shelter. The storms that I've documented recently over a period of time, more recently, they don't touch ground. There's not enough positron. The weatherman said it's positive to negative charge. Well, there's not enough positive charge to change the direction of the electric to pull it to ground level and circuit back up. It's staying strictly at a higher elevation. It's than where I'm standing and having trouble, which is indicative of a whole bunch of different things and observations for house doctors, and not the jackass that they put in some uniform and calls himself, like, just like the fake King Gale. I'm like, that's not a valise. That's a poorly sewn together costume, because it's during a pandemic and they're injecting with bio products unsuspecting victims in my area. That's a problem. And that's due to poor leadership and like real leadership not coming to the defense of the defenseless that need their help. But this is how they spell it, and this is what Bruce Willis, and then this goes back to, it's interesting that it would come out today because he was on something called a National Review Board, which I don't know what that means, so I wasn't a part of it. But I didn't even know he was married to Demi Moore, but Demi Moore is the G.I. Jane reference that the Chris Rock and Will Smith fight was over at Hollywood Stars, because that's the echelon that they're in, industrious wise. While I'm in this American revolting, and they're all with feasting their eyes on one another.
His family revealing he has been diagnosed with aphasia, a brain disorder impacting his cognitive abilities. The 67-year-old, known for his quick wit and wry humor, is now stepping away from his career. ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman is in L.A.
In almost every movie he starred in, from Pulp Fiction to Die Hard,
come out to the coast, we get together, have a few laughs.
Bruce Willis's characters somehow always...
Oh, he's Die Hard. I don't think I saw that. I thought he was Lethal Weapon. Oops. Same difference. So Willis stepping away from acting, actor diagnosed with, and there it is, aphasia right there. Impacting cognitive abilities. And again, I know he's important. So's the other guy who played William Wallace. But again, like a big family that I've never met, that has screen importance, but I didn't sit there dissecting. I'm not that type of fan, like dissecting the movies. I know that they have imperial importance, like emperor and empire type of things. I just don't know the specific druidic text. I haven't followed them from my youth all the way through in some cyberstalker kind of a way. Oh, and this is courtesy of a Die Hard 20th Century Studios. Because again, it seems, oh, I didn't write 20th Century. I would say 20th Century Fox, but 20th Century Studios, and then there's a Universal Studios. Then I've heard of a Lion Gate, but I don't know if that's a studio. Again, I mean, for a regular couch potato, how does one without a, like, brother and a member service of, like, a number 7, how do you ever, as an 8, figure these things out without constant contact?
beat the odds.
Oh, but it says here this word, and again, it says Asia in it. And then its app has IA. Aptly so. Doesn't mean it's forever. It could just be temporary, which is what I had. In my case, it's symptomatic, but what's causing the symptoms is more of the question, and it's an individualized case by case. But it's a scary occurrence and known phenomenon, or unknown to most, until you get rocked with it, and all of a sudden it's just like takes your breath away. Sometimes it just takes your brain pattern away, or your thought away. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxies, broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. It's March 30th, 2022. I think in 2015, I had some compliance meeting. There's some concern about some things. I couldn't date Mark because I didn't pass some compliance inspection. I had no idea what that meant. I still have no idea what it means. I don't know. Pilot program. If even they knew what they were interviewing for, because that seemed to have changed based on the sequencing jumping around in like some leapfrog format where you're talking about year 2022 after some serious stuff goes down that could be totally avoided. Why are you disqualifying her before the event even happens that causes what you're saying to be a disqualifying event? Because prior to that, nothing ever happened that would have disqualified her. And then I wake up in this. And into something that I labeled a world of hurt. And that goes back to a born supremacy reference for Nicole Parsons with amnesia after being aborted and deserted in the field in some Jason Bourne type thing, where memory fades in and out because there's more things going on than just flying air mechanics.